Rocket, changes this week going against the Roos. Can we expect Stephen May or Rory Thompson back?
No, they won't play this week. No, they're a good chance to be available next week. So they're certainly Stephen's ahead of schedule. The scan came back not as bad as we thought it would be. Because it looked like he pulled up very sharply when he did it. We were expecting 3 to 4, but his program's going very well. So he'll train all next week with a view that he'll play, and that Rory's probably been a little bit slower than we thought, but he's a chance to be available next week as well. And what about
Jared Lyons? His calf was taped up quite severely all the way up to the knee. Is that?
They tend to do that nowadays with taping the calf. Cal Archie had his last week the same and kicked 5, so that we're not concerned. He'll be right.
Great.
Rocket, is it a weird one for you guys going in? North have been playing pretty well, but they still haven't got a win on the board. How do you approach this one?
I don't think it's a weird one. It's a view, you expect their best to actually be played, and they played very well. They've played well. They, 3 games they probably could have, should have won. So I know it's a win-loss industry, but I think that's a bit of an outlier, really, the way they're going about it. So, that we're desperate for a win as well. So, we're expecting a pretty tough game, and obviously playing away as well. We're able to win last time away, so we'll take some confidence into that. But yeah, it'll be a tough contest.
And how is the confidence of the boys after last week?
Good, they've trained well. Yeah, they're up and about today. We've had some good meetings, so but it's all about putting it into action on the day. So words are pretty cheap.
Can we expect many changes to the team at all?
No, I wouldn't have thought there'd be many. We've got quite a few out injured, so there's not. The seconds didn't play that well at the weekend. There's only a couple of guys really in line, so I wouldn't have thought there'd be many changes.
In the races, I saw Dan Curry and Cameron Walsh on a test. Have they already done that? And
yeah, they're playing. Yeah, they're right. Yeah, they trained today, so they're right. Okay, they're available.
It must be a bit of a relief, I guess. The stocks in the tools are getting pretty thin.
Yeah, but those guys can only really play ruck, so they're only going to be back up for the ruck. So they can't play tall back. So.
Has Barry Hall just been working with Tom Lynch?
No.
No, he hasn't been.
No, you said just. He's
Yeah,
been working with all the forwards.
Stephen
May, Roy Thompson when they're there, Peter Wright, Keegan Brooksby, Jared Witts, Jack Leslie.
And what type of stuff are they working on with him?
They are working on marking, and they are working on leading patterns, and they're working on body work.
With Piers Hanley, with his bruised heel, so he won't play any footy at all this weekend. What are we expecting from him next weekend?
Look, it hasn't improved much. They're a bugger of an injury, actually, and that's what we thought at the start, that it could be 3 or 4 weeks. We're hopeful but it looks like it's going to be that. So he may be available for the last game before the bye, so when we go to China, so play the NEFL, but they're going to Darwin, so we're thinking that maybe he won't even play in that. We'll take the longer term view and give him some training before he can play, so it's probably after the bye that he's probably available.
Does that weekend cause problems for you? Because with May and Thompson too, I can't imagine if they don't get up, they're going to come back in China.
No, so you're right. You're right.
It's taken a week on everything, and with the 2's there.
Oh, that's right, and that's what we were thinking initially with Stephen's injury, that didn't look great.
Yeah.
Fortunately, the scan's okay, so we're going to treat it symptomatically. We were thinking if it was 3, misses next week, and we couldn't take him to China on the back of so that's why we were thinking.
And then a bye, so it's
that's right. So we were thinking worst case.
Yeah.
So, but we're pleasantly surprised that Stephen will probably get up next week. So it'll be the same with Rory. So if he can play next week, there'll be an added bonus, and then we obviously can take him to China.
So is Steve already training in full again, Rocket? Or is
he's finished his running program today, so he's running a full pace. Because he's only missed the 2 weeks at the moment, he'll just need 1 week of footy, so he'll be able to train next week. He'll do something over the weekend as well.
Were you pretty happy with your back 6 last week? I guess that was the question marks we had, I guess, looking from the outside.
It's an interesting one because the access to the footy for the opposition was great, and their efficiency going forward. as a collective, I think they could have done better. I think as a collective, they could have positioned themselves better. Individually, I think Jack Leslie and Adam Sard were pluses. I think they did very well, especially Jack after quarter time being inexperienced against their captain. I thought, they was pleased with his performance. But as a collective, I think at times we got lost and maybe the position wasn't where we'd hoped it'd be. Not that it would have changed the result, but I think it probably would have, I suppose, lessened the margin.
Rocket, what's the focus then? What do you take out of that game? You're playing a completely different team, but is there one or two things that you're taking against?
Oh yeah, things you've got to learn out of every game. No, obviously we're a bit better in the second half, but the way we played the first half, the game doesn't change. Us coaches complicate the game more, and the strategies change and game plans change. But it's really about winning the footy. It's being able to do something with it. It's about being able to put pressure on the opposition. So, in the past, a long time ago, you could probably win one or two of those areas, but you need to be efficient in all three. And I think at the weekend we took some learnings out against the best team in the competition where we need to get better. So it's really those three areas we'll focus on.
Rocket, does having Geelong and Port after play into this one at all, trying to build a bit of momentum going into those two?
How do you mean?
Trying to build up, another win on your belt, trying to build a bit of momentum before you take on those teams, which are obviously...
I wouldn't worry about who we're playing after with this week. It's just solely focused on this week. If we win, there's obviously a byproduct. You gain some momentum, but we're not even thinking about who we're playing after this weekend. So our whole focus is just this weekend.
Do you think your run, if you get it going, is the way to expose them?
Certainly we see that as an asset that we've got. Their starts have been very good, their contested ball's been very good, so obviously we need to match them in that area. So, and they'll be looking at us where our strengths are, how to limit our strengths. So, but if we don't get access to the ball, it's the same thing each week. We won't be able to run and use the footy, so we need to be, the contest needs to be right. There's going to be a war of attrition early and we need to match them. If we don't, we could find ourselves in the position we were last week.
So what about in a situation like last week where there was a fair parity, I guess, in first hands on the footy, but they had set up with an extra behind the ball all day and couldn't stop their run off half-back? Do you...
Although they didn't set up, they had the centre bounce had a spare who just ran through. What they did, their off ball, they ran really hard to actually support their teammates. They didn't start, they didn't have an extra there. They generated that in play by work rate. So our players didn't work hard enough to be able to match that. So we needed an extra player on forward or whatever, get up the ground, and then didn't work hard back.
Yeah.
So it was mainly work rate. To be able to, as I said about parity, have equal numbers there, be able to put pressure on. And we didn't think our pressure was good enough anyway, so we were able to sieve us pretty easily.
Was that the pressure the main thing all week that you talked about? I know you said after the game that you thought the intent was there and they just weren't big enough, but north of big bodies too.
Yeah. It was about. I think it's the first one's always about contest. If you can win the footy, you're going to control it. So if we don't win the football, we need to be able to put the pressure on. So those two go hand in hand. So they've been in focus this week.
After the loss to the Lions, you mentioned going in as favourites could have taken a bit of a toll on some players. Is that discussed at all before taking the group?
Well, I don't know if we'll be favourites this week, to be honest. So there's no added focus on that from our players. We need to rebound to the way we played last week. So that's really our focus and what's in our control individually. And each player controls their intensity and their work rate, and that's the thing they need to bring from the start.
Is Ainsworth still a couple of weeks away?
No, he'll be a month away.
Yeah. He had a cork, right?
That's right. Yep.
That's got to be one of the worst corks.
No, I've had known blokes who missed 8 and 10 weeks with a cork.
Yeah.
So he didn't get his range back. We're worried about that it calcifies, which it started to. So we've had to just take him off leg. So it's quite a bad one as far as bleeding. So he hasn't run yet. So when he gets back to be able to run, he'll need another 2 or 3 weeks of training. So
for a young kid who sort of came in, he was having great pre-season, debuted in round 1 and was playing really well. Mentally, that must be really frustrating for him to miss such a long period of time when he felt like he was really making it.
Yeah, that's for sure. It is frustrating for him, and he probably tried, like normal corkies, tried a little bit early to run and it bled again. So we just got to be respectful of the injury, but at the same time, work with him and give him that support. So yeah, it's going to be frustrating. It's a mental challenge for him at the moment, but it is what it is. You know, we've got to work through and we've got to do the right thing by him.